And he came unto his father and said, My father. And he said, Here I am. Who art thou, my son? So he must have been completely blind. If he said, Who art thou, my son? Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau, the firstborn.
It happens with age, okay?
Yeah, it does. Jacob, you're telling a big old flibber to your dad. I have done according as thou bidst me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac said to his son, How is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? He said, Because the Lord thy God brought it to me. Wow. He's even lying, saying God said stuff. Yikes. That's a little scary. That's in Genesis 27:18 through 20. Believe me, this boy at this particular moment is a typical of a pious fraud. You find many such frauds even in fundamental circles today. They talk about the Lord leading them. Sometimes the Lord leads them to do some very unusual things. I find out sometimes that Christian men think they can do things that the mafia would be arrested for. But these men can very piously pray about it and say that it is the Lord's will. Believe me, Jacob at this point is a pious fraud. The Lord had nothing to do with this deception. Isaac said unto Jacob, Come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. Jacob went near unto Isaac and his father, and he felt him and said, The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he discerned him not, because his hands were very hairy, as his brother Esau's hands. So he blessed him. And he said, Art thou my very son Esau? And he said, I am. Flibber, flibber, flibber. And he said, Bring it near me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. He brought it near him, and he did eat. And he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Isaac said unto him, Come near now, and kiss me, my son. And he came near, kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment, and blessed him, and said, See, the smell of my son is the smell of a field, which the Lord has blessed. Genesis 27:21 through 27. Am I still going?
Yeah, I was just thinking how that would preach for those who think that they can worship God out in the field better than they can on church on Sunday morning.
Right.
That might preach, but anyway.
Probably would.
Esau,
Mark would say, that's preacher thing.
Esau didn't have any spirit in him.
Nope.
To even acknowledge God out there in that field.
Oh my goodness.
And neither do those who say that. They're just saying that because they want an excuse not to go to church.
Right. You can, yeah.
Am I preaching?
You're preaching.
Okay.
You can tell that Isaac suspected something was wrong. But Rebecca knew Isaac very well, and she had worked out every detail. Well, she was shifty, wasn't she?
Mm.
Wow. Therefore, God give thee the dew of heaven, the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee, and be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be every one that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. Genesis 27:28 and 29. Now Isaac is giving the blessing which he had received. He's passing it on. The interesting thing here is that it already belonged to Jacob. God had said that it did. God had already blessed Jacob. God is not accepting this deception at all.
And so that's J. Vernon McGee's commentary on verses 18 through 29.
Yep.
Now this is Chuck Smith's commentary on verses 18 through 29. No sooner I got out the door, the deer came across my path, is what is what he's saying here. It was God's will that Jacob received the blessing. And writing again. Rebecca, I can't read Rebecca. Rebecca and Jacob knew it was God's will that Jacob would be blessed. The mistake was they thought God needed their help.
Yep.
God can accomplish His purposes apart from our help. You could lose the reward for being God's instrument to bring His will to pass. In fact, I was listening tonight, you can be the winner and still wind up losing, because of the way that you do it.
True.
That's not what they were talking about, but they were talking about in the movie White Men Can't Jump. That's what the lady says. You can win and still lose. But anyway,
I've seen that movie, but it's been a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was about either.
Yeah.
That's the reference they made. God will still bring it to pass with or without your help.
Right.
It is never based on our screening or conniving screening. Well, it's not. It's another word. I don't know. But anyway, I can't read it. All we need is the money to do God's will. And people go into schemes. That's what it is, scheming. Schemes to get that money. And obviously, somebody had sent Chuck Smith. He talks about it for all through his sermons. Somebody sent him a letter saying, we can't do God's will unless you send us $20. And he was like, well, it's not God's will. God doesn't need my money to do His will.
No, He don't.
He doesn't depend upon Chuck Smith to be able to do His will. And so, if and I have this belief that if it's God's will, it's God's bill. He'll take care of it. And so, if it is kind of frustrating being in the ministry, and people don't support you. I had a rehab. I've had 3 sober living homes, and we've fed the homeless, and I've been involved with homeless shelters and Living Bread soup kitchens, and they were able to fund it, but whenever it came to my ministry or CR or going inside, I always had to fund the bill myself. And, but, I could, actually, I can't wrap my hand, I say me and Uncle Cecil can't wrap our head around how to make money at this thing. Everybody else seems to be able to. But we just can't wrap our head around it on how to make this thing make a fortune. But
you won't ever. You won't ever.
I would like to just make enough money to buy. One time I wanted $300,000 to buy a 50-bed rehab for women to bring their kids. But it obviously wasn't God's will because He didn't pay the bill.
Right.
Exactly. Or give me that motel they tore down here in south of Korea.
I know.
That was they could have given it to
me. That was a shame.
But anyway, and stuff like that. Of course, then the city and county condemn it on you, or they shut you down. Anyway, it is if it is a true work of God, it will be done. God is not dependent on us; we are dependent on Him. The believed God that they believed God, and their mistake was the scheming.
The scheming, yeah.
Yeah, I misspelled it here. I spelled it up here SCEEMING. Scheming. And here it's SCEAMING. Yeah. And up here, I think it's SCHEM.
Yes, that sounds right. EME.
M-I-N-G?
Yeah.
Or schemes?
Yeah.
Okay. That doesn't help me. My spelling doesn't help either. But to get his work done. God does not need that kind of help. Somewhat the blessing. It's somewhat the blessing of Abraham we see here, but he adds to it. He adds the fatness of the earth, and the servants and brother bowing down to him is added to
Jacob's blessing.
To Jacob's blessing as Isaac adds to it from what the Abraham's blessing was, and so that